biggest issue could be simply that you're just driving blind. You have no idea what's happening, how much money you have, whether you're even profitable. Maybe you will not even have the cash to buy your next batch of inventory. And the complication happens if you have your order in Shopify being paid by PayPal, or maybe half PayPal, half gift card. And that is where the complexity lies. The money that lands in the bank, that's your cash settlements, and not the revenue and not the sales. That is a big problem. Why is it a problem?
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Ecommerce Coffee Break podcast. If you're selling across multiple channels, you probably know the feeling your bank account balance doesn't line up what you thought you're making. Numbers look good in one place, but in reality, it is a different story. Today, we want to find out why so many e-commerce brands are flying blind with their numbers and what you can do to fix it. Joining me today is Barbara Malisz-Talha. She is the product manager at Synder, where she helps accountants, bookkeepers, and finance teams turn messy, complex workflows into clean, intuitive automation. So let's get into it. Hi, Barbara. How are you today?
Hi, Klaus. How are you? Glad to see you.
Barbara, why do e-commerce brands often struggle to track their cost, sales, and cash flow accurately?
So, one major thing is that it's simply quite hard to do. If you're trying to do it by hand, and if you want to get your spreadsheets and put all of that, it's just simply a lot of work. So I would say that is one of the major reasons that is just very time consuming. Automation can help, obviously, with that, and that takes one element of it. But then you need to also do it accurately and the line with your business and what you're doing. So I would say that's another step. But even if you're doing this with automation, you need to do it in a way that suits your business and what you're trying to find.
Mm-hmm. I think the headache comes in if you're going multi-channel. And then you have multiple data points, data coming from different versions. The reporting might be different. Tell me a little bit on how financial tracking is influenced by messy data.
So that is a big problem. Why is it a problem? Because it's not only the fact that you sell on multiple channels, which is a big problem in itself, because you can have, for example, inventory that it's held in one place, but you're selling it in different places. So you need to keep it, like the inventory stock has to, adjust to each other as you have it. And you need to have a source of truth, which should also be your accounting. But it also means that, for example, if you sell on Shopify, but you are having payments coming from different payment processors, right? So for the buyer, this seems just like buying it on Shopify, and that's just that. But for the seller, that means handling Shopify. Maybe it's PayPal, maybe it's Afterpay. It depends how many of different processes you have. And the complication happens if you have your order in Shopify being paid by PayPal, or maybe half PayPal, half gift card. And that is where the complexity lies, is that you need to accurately book it. Because if you just connect your Shopify, your PayPal, and let's say an Amazon, and if you all connect it together into your accounting, you will have duplicate entries, because the payments that are coming from PayPal for Shopify orders would be booked as certain transactions, and the orders will happen the same. So you will have a lot of duplicates. So that's why the complexity is there, not only with different channels, which you need to track and have it as a one source of truth, but also with the payments and matching them. So this is the biggest issue.
Now, a lot of DTC business, e-commerce business out there are cash flow driven. And you mentioned there's different payment providers that probably have different terms when they pay you. And that can be a huge risk to your business. Can you give me an example on sort of the worst case scenario? What happens to brands if they don't track their numbers?
The biggest issue could be simply that you're just driving blind. You have no idea what's happening, how much money you have, whether you're even profitable, how much you're going into expenses. Maybe you will not even have the cash to buy your next batch of inventory, how your inventory is moving. There's a lot of things that you just can't even understand where you're going from here to there. So I would say it's like that. It's just like trying to go to one city to another without a map and just thinking and you don't even know whether you go down south or anywhere. So, chances you get there, it's low, but you need to know these numbers.
Yeah, absolutely right. So flying blind is not a good idea. And I think specifically growing e-commerce brands who are taking new apps on there and new channels on there at some point in their growth journey, they are at a point where they lose overview. Now, at Synder, you're helping with that. Automation obviously is the key there. Tell me a little bit on how automation helps brands in solving this problem.
So when it comes to getting your sales, because that's the first hurdle, it's that you have your sales in your sales channel, payment processors, and you want to get it into accounting. So this is what Synder helps with. It gets that data from one place to another, like with this example of a car. But this isn't just a simple thing of taking it, because you could say that, you can maybe download some data and upload it, but that's not really what you would like. And this is not helpful because you need to get it into the right places, because it's not single transactions. For the buyer, for example, they just pay you. But for the seller, this means your taxes, also discounts. There are the payment part, and there is the revenue, and so on. Could be chargeback, refunds. There is plenty of different elements that as a seller, you need to book. So when you have that order or payment, it has to be split into different parts. Then what happens, and this is what Synder also helps with, just splitting, normalizing that data. But here is a key element, that this data is not only supposed to help you stay compliant, for example, with all the taxes, regulations, and so on, but it's there to inform you about your business. So, for example, if you have you selling some items in different locations, different sales channels, and so on, maybe you have different products and you want to split them into different income accounts, which is what many sellers would like to do. That happens here in Synder. So we are mapping your accounts, or you can map them yourself however you like. And then you can split it. You can do it by regions, by locations, by type of, like if there is a word such and such in there, put it into this. And that allows you to have your financial statements in the way that makes sense to your business. So I would say that is the second part. So it's not just moving part and splitting it, but then putting it into the right places. And that's something that you cannot do if you just download it and upload it, which isn't really a possibility because it needs to get into different accounts. So you can't really do that. In this sort of way.
Now, talking about the tech stack that a lot of brands out there have there's a lot of different apps they use. There might be, there might be used Xero or QuickBooks. They have different warehouses. How do you pull all this data together?
So what do? We sit somewhere in between. So you have, on one hand, you can have your sales channels when you sell. This could be marketplaces like Amazon, Etsy. We support about 30 different, we connect with the different integrations. And that includes the sales channels, the payment processors. We have also integrations with the inventory solutions and with accounting software. So we are sitting like in the middle. So we take all that data in and then we are putting it into the accounting. So we work with QuickBooks Online, with Xero, with Puzzle for like smaller sellers, and for the large ones with Oracle NetSuite and with Sage Intacct. So we are not replacing any of these things. We are just the middle part, which is just doing this data treatment, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, obviously, as a merchant, you want to have a system that's sort of proactive. Obviously, you're syncing all the data on a day-to-day basis. What would my day look like when I'm working with Synder?
So, we have different modes, which means that it is up to you how you would like to have your data synced. So you can have it synced as individual transactions, which means that every payment, every invoice will be synced as individual one. And here you are having, your customer names, product names, and everything that is in the biggest detail that there is. And you can split it even further, by different classes and so on. Or you can have it as a summarized entry. And this could be like a daily entry, or it could be even monthly. We have payout entries, which are journal entries, which means that all your different lines are summaries for a specific period, let's say for a day. So you will have, and here also you are splitting these things. So you're not losing that possibility to categorize, for example, your income the way you like it. So for example, if it's a income for a particular product, this particular thing will be clapped together, and all those sales for that day will be put in there. So there is a version which is kind of combined. And this happens when you would like to, when your business is growing, you're having more and more sales, and you would like to kind of not kind of choke your accounting with thousands and thousands of different, information individual transactions, but you want to kind of have a very good overview of your financials, but not put this very, very detailed data over there. So here, when it comes to how often you have it, this is a difference, because if you are doing it on the first one, then they are just being, just as they're going through your processes, they're getting synced automatically. You are setting this. You can set it auto sync, or you can sync it yourself. So they're just getting synced, and everything happens in the background. You don't have to do anything. And if you are doing it with the daily or monthly, then you are just setting it your periods, how you would like to do it. And you can also always do it manually, but you can also auto sync it. And when the summaries are ready, then they are being pushed into your account. So that's how it works.
Mm-hmm. Now let's add a little bit more complexity to a already complex topic. A lot of brands out there are selling internationally. We're talking multi-currency. How does that work?
So multi-currency is a big thing. And, as you said, that more and more sellers are doing it. So we are handling like a Synder, we are handling it with different currencies. So you simply are having different accounts, which is the practice. You have different accounts for different currencies. So, for example, if you have the summarized entry, then you will have it for your different accounts. You will see that visibility for a day. So they are not being, kind of plugged together that you cannot see it because you need to reconcile.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it is. So this is all handled. It's just separated. The separation is the part that helps you with this.
Okay. The other part that probably interests a lot of our listeners is data protection. We're talking about a lot of different connections, sync and APIs there. How does Synder support data protection acts and whatever comes there?
All companies like ours need to go through different elements that ensures that, and one of them is SOC 2 compliance, which we have, and we have all other validations and things that are there in place. So this is all like a standard procedure. So we are covering that all the time, because this is financial data, so you can't play with it. This is something that has to be always secure. So.
Yeah. Let's talk about the onboarding process. If somebody comes to you, they might come to you and they have a complete mess. I reckon that happens more often than not. And how do you help with that? Can you give me an example what the onboarding process looks like?
Sure. So in our onboarding process, it's like, I would say the first stage is relatively quick. All you need to do, just have your information about your business, just the simple ones. And then you need to have credentials to all your platforms that you want to connect. And that includes your accounting and also sales channels and payment processes. So you need to just connect it to Synder. Once you do that, then you get into Synder. And here you can have your first batch of transactions imported, because you can have them already synced, but it is, I would say, advisable to first see how they look like, just to get an idea of what you're dealing with. So you're getting all your data imported, and that's happening. Technically, this is after onboarding. You could say that you are already in. However, this is when the second kind of batch of work happens, which is finding your best fit when it comes to different settings. So how do you like your transactions to be synced, and what would you like to sync, and on what kind of basis? And here you can map your products, you're putting all the accounting, mappings, groups, classes, many different aspects. So this is what will also happen during the onboarding. And for the higher plans like Pro and Premium, we're having this with the onboarding specialists. So all this happens with our help. Because the larger the business, the more complex these things are. And like our ideal customers are those that have complex needs, like, this without that and partially this and so on. So, many different complexities. This is what we do. So
Mm-hmm.
then we help you set everything up.
Let's talk about complexities again. If it's complex, one word comes into my mind: AI, artificial intelligence. Is that something that you facilitate? Is something that you use?
So yes, like AI, it's these days everywhere. So yes, it is something that we are doing. And AI is also coming into the finance world, into, in the real sense. So yes, we do have some elements which are supported by AI. We do have like an AI dashboards. So you can, for example, ask questions. I don't know, what were my sales for New York in August. Yes. And you're just putting that, and that becomes a dashboard. And these are the dashboards that you can create yourself. So these are like widgets that you just kind of place it. You can pre-map them, so it can be something that you find important to you, and you just put them there. And so, for example, this is how we are using AI, also in things like like some kind of chatbots and things for simple questions. And the capability of AI and how we are using it, it's constantly kind of evolving, and we're thinking how to do it best in a way that makes sense. Because it's easy to just say, oh, let's do it with AI. But the thing is that this is finance. It has to be, like perfect. It has to be accurate. So, like if you think that something isn't quite right, when it comes to, financials, then you need to be sure. So we are also cautious with how we're using AI and to make sure that this always, with the best value for the users.
Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of founders, startups, they know bookkeeping is important, as you said, and you have a background in psychology, so you know that there's different kinds of people, and some are more creative and some are more a better fit for bookkeeping and straightforward. Do you have a story of a brand coming to you where you really needed to take over with the onboarding process and get it streamlined? What's your sort of approach there?
Yes, of course, as you said, it really depends on the person. Some people prefer to do a lot of things themselves. They are the kind who, I need to understand what's happening. I need to know what it is, especially that happens for accountants who have, immense knowledge, because some of our customers are business owners, but also either they having their accountants on board and they are the ones that we are having, for example, onboarding process. So that's what I would say. There are some which would prefer understand everything and do everything else themselves. Or there are those business owners, and we have many of those, who prefer onboarding when we are taking them through each and every single step and we explain it, because it is complex. So we totally understand that. So there are many of our users who came in and who did not know, they just give us the books. We saw what it is. And then we did, for example, a historical import of a very large period, and then numbers before didn't tie up at all. And then we kind of cleaned it up. We're doing monthly health checks as well for them. So, so that kind of helps them out. So there's a lot of stuff. So when you're coming, it's not only that everything starts from today, and that's when we're looking at your books, we're looking them backwards, and you can have historical imports, and then also, sort these things out there too.
Mm-hmm. Who's your perfect customer?
E-commerce business owners with complex needs. I would say this is our number one. So the more complex, the better. So yes, everything that's hard and difficult, this is what we do. But also accountants, and we also serve SaaS businesses.
Mm-hmm. So, tell me about the pricing structure. Obviously an important question. How does that work?
So our pricing structure is based on two things. One is number of sales transactions, and another one is a feature set. So the more transactions you have, the higher you move up the pricing, but also it goes together with features. So because the smaller business you have, you don't really need that much, different parsing on different small elements. But the bigger business you have, the more needs you naturally would have. So that also goes hand in hand.
Yeah, definitely very important to have an overview of what's happening in your business and getting the numbers right. Not only for tax reasons, but obviously you want to know what the money in the bank, if it's really yours, or if there is more costs coming into it. Now, before our coffee break comes to an end, Barbara, is there anything that you want to share with our listeners that we haven't covered yet?
What you just mentioned right now, I think it's super crucial, which is on one hand, you want this data to be there for the tax reasons, but for the business owners, it's how much do I earn? How much are my expenses? And to understand that. And there are many things that I would say might not be obvious, or we have noticed that the business owners are finding difficult, or they do not see how does that all kind of ties in together. So one thing I would say, that the money that lands in the bank, that's your cash settlements and not the revenue and not the sales. So for example, we see these sort of issues when the business owners will say, okay, this is the money that I got, which is true, but this is not the sales, right? Because all the fees and refunds and chargebacks were already taken out. So that's what I would say. Another element would be to do with reconciliation, which is a huge pain. That we notice that when we're dealing with our customers, and especially when we're dealing with the accountants who are dealing with the customers, that what you reconcile against, it's different for different people, which is that someone can have exactly the same books, exactly the same business, let's say, but they reconciled it against this one and that one against that one. And it's just as long as you're doing it by the correct one, this is okay, but the correct one can be different for different businesses, and that is totally fine. So that is also one thing we see with Shopify, for example, when you are having these payment processors and then you're having those cash settlements and you have those numbers. It can happen, for example, that the number in Shopify for, let's say, PayPal is different than the one in PayPal for PayPal, right? So then you need to know which one to use, and you do need to use the one which is actually in PayPal, because there can be sometimes small differences, but still, in finances, all matters. So you will have then some differences that you need to see, and over there you can reconcile it well. So I would say these are the kind of elements that sometimes can be missed. So yes, the same way it's like when you having your fees, categorizing the fees, we would say it's also very important. Like if somebody has a business in Amazon FBA, you have a lot of different types of fees. So to understand where your money actually is going, you need to see where it is, because there are certain fees, sure, you can't do anything about, but there are some that you can. For example, those when it comes to the long storage, right? Like if you understand, okay, I am paying every month that much to this particular type of fee, then you can then do something about it, do something with that stock. I don't know, maybe get rid of it or do some kind of sale. So in the same way that these financials are there to inform you and help you, like manage your business better. Not only on the income part, when you can see how my business is growing and in which parts is it growing, but also what kind of expenses do I make? And then have that split, because we can also like provide these sort of elements that, like if this fee has this sort of name, then put it into this account. And then you can just split it, however small you like. So I would say this is the kind of element I would say that it's also important.
I appreciate that you highlighted that having automation in the background, not to be just compliant to standard bookkeeping procedures, but also to optimize your business over time. So not only a startup, but also an established business can find ways to optimize their financials through automation, through a proper system in the background. So I think that's very important for our listeners to know. This is not a system only to get started. That's something that grows over time and gives you more benefits over time as you grow. Where can people go and find out more about you guys?
Sorry, can you say it again?
Where can people go and find out more about you?
It's our company is Synder, so it's synder.com. If you want to come to the website, we sometimes coming also to different conferences, so you can, like the one that we're coming soon would be Intuit Connect at the end of October. So yes, these I would say are the places, and we are also in many different marketplaces. Is it the Shopify? Is it the Clover and so on? There are many marketplaces that, since we are there for like different 30 plus different providers, so those ones who have them, we are there. So you can also find us there.
Mm-hmm. I understand you offer a promo code, podcast 150, to our listeners. What's involved in that?
So this is a promo code, as said, podcast 150, where you can redeem this at any Synder product that you buy, whatever it is it the core product or any sort of add-ons. It's worth $150 US, and you can redeem it and just put that coupon at the checkout.
Cool, perfect. I will put all the links and the coupon code in the show notes. So then this will be just one click away. I hope a lot of people reach out to you and test Synder. I think it's crucial to have a system in the background that helps you with all these data points and make sure that you really know what's going on in your business on the financials. And I think you gave a really good overview today for our listeners to understand why it is so important. And I hope a lot of people will reach out. Thank you so much for the chat today.
Thank you so much for having me.